For me, being reasonable seems to be, is really saying that you're not going to get what you're asking for. You almost have to be unreasonable to get what you're actually looking for. It's like haggling over the cost of a car or something like that. You tell them a price that you say is the highest you'll go, when in reality you're willing to pay more for it. Because the other person, they're going to say a price that's way higher than what they need to make a good profit. And in time, you end up in the middle somewhere. But if I express my needs, we'll say emotionally or things like that, I get far less than what I'm asking for. So I feel like I have to ask for more than what I'm really looking for. This is sort of on the same idea of giving in. And it's a process that seems to be accepted, that you can't go in just saying what you're looking for. You have to go in expecting to have to give in to certain requirements. In fact, in some cultures, if you don't haggle, if you don't give them something that they want, then they're not willing to negotiate. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I like to go in and say, look, this is the deal. This is what we need. We need it by this date, this time, this quality, whatever. And that's it. And if they come in with anything less than that, then that's not meeting the requirements. What I'm asking for is what I reasonably need. I worked for this one company where it didn't take long for me to figure out that the vice president of the company, whenever he gave you a due date for something, I mean, it's even a delivery, even a shipment of parts, he padded it. He said, well, I needed to ship by the 3rd, when in reality the 7th would have been fine. He did that because he thought that that's the only way people would get the job done right. But it's a ridiculous idea, and I think you all should be able to figure it out for yourself. You finally realize that he's always doing that, and so you know what the real date is. And once you know that real date, you don't listen to what he says. You know in the back of your mind that you have until such and such a date. You also know that he actually wants it, to ship early. Now, in some cases, it couldn't even ship when he wanted it, because if it got there too soon, they would send it back. That's part of just-in-time delivery. They want it within a certain window of time. So they're trying to force you to be reasonable. And they're trying to be accurate to when they really need it. However, people are very stubborn, and they feel that need to lie, because that's really what it amounts to. They lie about what is needed. They lie as to what they want. And once you deliver that, then they want more. And that's another issue with being reasonable. In fact, this is one that I felt I was being reasonable, but certain people that I did work for took advantage of that. This one guy, just a second. I had to adjust my lighting. I don't know if it's any better. I figured I might as well just sit here and talk. No one's listening anyway. But anyway, the way I ran my business is I tried to keep a little bit of time open for emergency jobs that came in. I didn't know what they were going to be, but I had to somehow leave that, but I would leave that time, in other words, so I could address people's needs, because sometimes when they said they needed it, it really was an issue, and I felt they were being reasonable. But in this one case, this man would always come in and always demand his stuff be done immediately. And because of the way I managed, I knew I could take care of it, and so I would meet his requirements. And this drove or caused tension between him and me, because I knew he was being unreasonable. I knew he didn't need it when he needed it. So I wished that I could tell him no, but me thinking I'm being reasonable, I knew that I had the time to fill in, so I would take his jobs on and meet his deadlines. Now, one day, my schedule was full. I had already taken on emergency jobs, and I knew that I couldn't take on anything else. I was going to have to work late, work on Saturday, which I was okay, I still didn't feel, way out of control. As I told people, I knew how to compress a schedule, and I didn't mind doing it. In fact, I kind of enjoyed the pressure and the challenge of seeing if I could meet the requirements. But in this case, he comes in and he tells me that he has to have this piece of equipment fixed right now. And I was happy to be able to tell him, I can't do it. I can do it in a couple days, but I can't do it right now. I have other customers I've promised. I said I have emergency work coming. I said, for me to do it, this is when it's going to get done. He says, well, it's not acceptable. Now, I couldn't even believe he was acting this way. But he was, and he insisted on this piece of equipment being fixed. I said, I can't do it. I said, I told you what I can do. I'm sorry. I said, you've always gotten your way in the past. However, this time, not because I don't want to, but I can't. I have other people, I promised, and I'm not going to lie to them. And I'm not lying to you now. He got mad enough, he says, well, I'll find somebody else to do it. And I thought, okay. Now, I knew that the chances were, that I wouldn't lose him as a customer. But it was possible, if he found somebody else who could do the work. So anyway, he left. Took his piece of equipment with him. 2 weeks later, he shows back up with the same piece of equipment. I thought, oh boy. Now, at this point, my emergency work, of course, was gone, and I had not gotten myself into another emergency rush type situation again. So I had my padding there for handling emergency jobs. And he came in, and I thought, now how am I going to handle this? And he apologized. I said to him, I said, you know, after he finished, I said, well, I said, I told you the truth back then, and I'm telling you the truth now. I don't have a backlog at this point, so I can take your job on and I can get it done probably within a day. I said, so, you know, but I do want you to know you're not my only customer, and I really do want to take care of everybody else equally. And I said, and I've taken care of you before without any question. And he says, I realize it. And he says, I now realize my mistake. He says, I took it to another guy. He says, and he promised me he'd take care of it. And 2 weeks later, it was still sitting there. I said, well, I'm a professional business. I do what I say. I said, that's part of my, you know, my stick. You know, is I do what I say I'm going to do. And so he thanked me, and I was glad that I had to say no to him. Taught him a lesson, and it also taught me I was on the right track with the way I dealt with my customers. And I am proud of that. And so, you know, he walked away with a better opinion of me in the end, and I got a even stronger bond with him as far as, you know, customer, and I took care of him always, and we got along much better after that. Much more enjoyable when he came in. It was so much, it was amazing. It was just so great to have that happen. So, I know being reasonable doesn't seem to work. I unfortunately don't know any other way. I don't ask for more than what I actually need. Sometimes I wish I would, but it's inbred in me, if you will, at this point. It's in my moral, yeah, I'm going to have to come up with a name for that. It's my moral fiber. So, talk to you later.